Chris is with us in Missouri. Hey, Chris, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Sure, what's up?
So I've recently started watching you on YouTube and on your app and following along with a lot of what you've been saying. My problem is trying to talk to my wife about getting a budget and doing, I would like to do the 7 baby steps, but
when we tried to talk to her, what did it sound like?
When we've talked about budgeting in the past...
how long ago?
Anywhere from when we first started...
Okay, so, I mean, you just started watching
married.
our stuff. Have you talked to her since then?
No.
Okay.
Because it started, and say every time we've done it, it's done nothing but start a fight.
Where does the fight come? Where does the fight come from?
I think part of it's insecurity because neither one of us had been great with money prior to this. We're 3 years into a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and we just recently, where we thought we were about done with it, just realized we've got about a year left because we were behind on it, and it almost got canceled on us. And that just added more stress onto the whole ordeal.
Yeah, so Chris, listen. You guys have, the nerd word is trauma. Y'all have trauma around money. And some people try to solve trauma by getting a plan and getting a strong why. This will never happen again. I am going to go follow a plan that millions of people have followed before. And that's great, man. And that's where you happen to be. You stumble onto something that's a gift, and it sounds like you want to make some changes in your life that's going to affect your family tree, and that's awesome. You going home to your wife and saying, hey, you know what we should probably be doing now is going to set off every alarm she's got in her head, because everything is going to be chapter 13, and I thought we were doing this, and my husband told me we had a plan, and then you know what I mean? And so you're going to have to circle back around. Dave, you've been down this road before.
Yep.
And Chris, I can tell you in your voice, I'm not hearing a why. I'm hearing another plan, another thing.
Okay.
And I may be wrong there. But
so in my house, the way it sounded was this. Sharon said, I don't want to hear another scheme. I don't want to hear another scam.
Right.
Because everything I'd tried up to that point felt like a scheme or a scam to her, and we're broke. Here we sit bankrupt with a brand new baby, a toddler, and they're cutting the lights off. And it terrified her. It damaged me. It made me ashamed. It made me feel guilty. It made me feel inept, but it terrified her. And
so how do you get past that fear?
Well, what it amounted to is that any ideas that I had were not trustworthy because I had not been worthy of trust, because my actions had brought nothing but crap. And so, and here I come with another truck, you know. As far as she's concerned, that's what she was hearing. And so it was by degrees, and it was holding hands and saying, I'm not coming to you with all the answers. I'm coming to you and saying, this house doesn't run well when it comes to money. And so this house, you and me, baby, we got to make some changes. I found this thing. Would you walk into it with me, investigate it with me, and see if we can work this together? And then she's not counting on you to have provided the answer, because truthfully, up to now, the answers you provided have not been trustworthy. That was true of me, and that's not because you're a bad guy. It's because you didn't know and you made mistakes. Well, that makes you humans all, okay? So I'm not picking on you. Don't misunderstand. I'm trying to give you her perspective. And so what Sharon and I did was I said, okay, in our case, we're faith people, we're Christians, and I said, okay, what I found is this guy is teaching what God says about money, what the Bible says about money, because what Dave says about money sucks, and I'm awful at it. And so we are going to learn this together, and we are going to walk out of this mess together, and we are never going back in. And then she walked into that, and as she learned it, as I learned it together, then she wasn't looking at the plan through the lens of Dave. She was looking at it through her own lens because she was beside me walking into this. That's different than I've got a plan for us again. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does.
And Chris, I hear in your voice this, can you just get over it? Can we just get on with it? And Dave, I don't want to speak into you and Sharon's life, but my guess is if there's a couple of weeks of not talking about something, or maybe a couple of months at this point, or if you mention a couple of things, or if Sharon happens to see a real estate magazine open at a hotel, that those alarms are going to go off.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how far away, how many zeros are in your checking account. So, Chris, when is she just going to get over it? Probably never. It will be small, and it will turn into a trickle, and your trust will grow. But man, people don't grieve at the same pace, and the more you say, why don't you just, man, that just builds a deeper and deeper wedge in your relationship. You're in this together, man.
Yeah.
You're in it together.
So once Humpty Dumpty's busted, once trust is busted, it's hard to rebuild it. It takes time. And you think about if I've got a team member here and they misbehave in a certain area, and I go, well, okay, I can't trust them at the same level, and I don't hold that against them for 5 years, but I am going to be watching them for that behavior until they prove that behavior is not a pattern in their life. Mm-hmm. And so it takes time of the two of you working together, and the more distance you put between yourself and the past stupidity, the more the trust is being rebuilt. And so my super stupid, my PhD in DUMB that I got was 30 years ago. And so it's in the distant rearview mirror. There's still tender spots, still scars in our relationship from it, but I'm much more worthy of trust now and have proven it 30 years worth versus the 7 prior to that. Whew. Celebrating 38 years this week, as a matter of fact.
Congratulations, man.
And she tells us that, we've got 30 good years of marriage.